let's go to sleep with your bedtime story.
Okay, I'll tell the story. Sorry for the hair and the clothes. I just got ready from the shower. I just got out of the shower. So I just wanted to get ready for bed. This is a story about how Rudolph got his red nose. So if you're wondering if you ever knew Rudolph, this is how you're going to find out how he got his red nose. That's how I believe it. So once upon a time there was this little, but first get under your cozy little covers. Sink your head into your pillow. And relax. Get your blanket and get whatever you need to go to sleep. Okay. So, once upon a time, there was this little reindeer that was born. I really like Hello Kitty, so he was a small little child. He was 1 year old. His parents were like, we got a second child. They were so happy. Getting hot. Let me take it off.
Well, I did just take a shower and still ready for bed. Brush my teeth.
So their parents were like, come to mommy, come to daddy. Then he said, Dada, mama. And then he walked to them. And then because they were in Santa's place. Because of course, Santa owes Rudolph's mom and dad. Delivian and Dandelion. Delivian was the dad. Dandelion was the mom. So he was born. He was born really well. He was a really cute kid. Everyone loved him. But only one person didn't like him. Dasher. Well, Dasher was his friend. But you'll find out how he doesn't like him. Then Santa said, I think he's ready to stay with us, because he stayed in the nursery with the other babies. And Rudolph didn't like it. He liked it, but he wanted to be with his parents. He had to sleep in those little baby cribs. And all the other babies didn't like it. They wanted their parents. Most of all, they wanted their moms. Of course, they needed someone to feed them, not Mrs. Claus, not an elf. So, Santa changed things. They let them sleep with their parents. So they did. They had a lot of fun together. Even when Rudolph was just a newborn, when Rudolph was born, his sister was already like let's say she's 6 years old. So he's 6 years younger than her. She was half C. You become a senior when you are 7. No, when you are 10. So she will only have 4 more years to become a senior. And I'm 8 years old. So she's 6. When he was born. His big sister was so beautiful. All the guys loved her. They would gaze at her because she was really pretty. And Rudolph was very handsome too. The baby girls would go, "Ooh, daff, daff, daff." But still, my hair. But still, they had a beautiful family. And then, of course, the mother had more kids. She was expecting twins. So, she wasn't able to go on the sleigh with all the other ladies. And usually the mom ones are babysitters. So, yeah. And then Rudolph turned 5. And then Nella, Ellis, his big sister, he was 5 years old. So she was already 11. He was 6 years old. So he was 4 years old. So she was 10. She just became a senior on her birthday. Everyone has to become a senior on their birthday. So she became a senior. And then suddenly he turned 5 and she turned 11. She was a senior and Dasher was only 7. He's 7. 1 year older than 2 years older than Rudolph. And then he was like, "Hey, you're gonna go on the sled tomorrow? You're gonna do the worst." And then Rudolph said, "Well, you shouldn't say that. You don't know what the future is. You don't know what's gonna happen. As well, you could go to the dark realm if you do something bad." And then Dasher said, "Please, Santa loves me way too much than you." But actually, Santa loved Rudolph more because of his kindness and how funny he was. Dasher was so mean and never generous. He was very, very selfish and he thought he was very popular. But he wasn't as popular as Rudolph and Leah. No, he wasn't even popular. He didn't really have a lot of friends. He only had one friend. And yeah, his friend kind of didn't like him, but Dasher forced him to be his friend. So it's complicated for Dasher. But things went right anyways. So and then the time came. They took off the cap he got for Christmas and ka-ching! His hair was really messy. But actually, it wasn't that bad. So he just used a little antler thing and he made them together. And he made them look like other antlers. And then he ate his breakfast. Then soon nighttime came. He exercised, then got his hooves ready. He did Rudolph exercise. He did stretches. He did cherry pickers. And all those other reindeer stuff. He did reindeer push-ups. Like when you go. Well, my friend just goes to do push-ups. He just moves his head. And that's not how you do push-ups, right, baby? Right, Grogu?
Yeah.
And so the time came. He went on the sleigh, but he didn't know Dasher said to his friend, "Let's push Dasher off. But let's push Rudolph off." But Rudolph's big sister already knew because she had special hearing. No one knew except Rudolph, Mom, Dad, and maybe the newborn twin. well because the newborn twins are not there yet. They knew she was going to have twins. And then finally, dun, 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 it was time for them to leave. They were at the 5th house. Finally, it was Dasher's chance. He punched him in the nose and took him off. That's how he got his red, big nose. It was really big and shiny. He stayed there for a whole night. He saw a snowman with a blanket, and he got it on him, and a little hat to cover his head, and antlers. And then the next morning, he was like, "Where am I?" Santa said, "Hurry!" And then they got him. And they loved him so much. Santa said, "Are you all right?" And then he said, "I'm fine. What happened?" And he said, "What happened to your nose?" And Dasher said, "Oh." And then Santa said, "It's all your fault, Dasher. You're not getting any presents. You are going to the dark realm. You cannot do that." And really, it's in the book. There's a book that says, "Do not push a 5-year-old off the sled. Or you will go to the dark realm. Creepy, huh? It's very quiet here. I'm very scared. No, I'm not. So, Dasher never got any presents. And then suddenly, that night, he was kidnapped by the Dark Realm Master. It was a big, scary monster. Dasher screamed for his life. Even his friend went too. But he didn't really stay there for long. He only got a little tickle, and then he went back to Santa. Because Santa knew he wouldn't do anything wrong. But Dasher stayed there his whole life. And then the tickle monster tickled him until he froze to death. But we don't need to hear that. Santa kept finding a cure for Rudolph. He looked through all of his books of Christmas 30, but he only had one scary Halloween book that had how to take away a red nose. But he didn't read a page. It said, "The way to take the red nose is to cut the whole nose off." And Santa didn't want to do that. He looked, and so he didn't. The next year, Rudolph was 7 years old, 2 years later. Because when he was 6, he didn't get to go on the sled. The next year, he went on and Santa said, "Oh, you're going to be the lead." So he went. But actually, it helped Santa because it helped him move around and saw. Because it was so shining and glimmy. Everyone was like, "Rudolph, without your red nose, Santa would fall down and crash." They all cheered. Even the big sister did, because she was already 13. And the twins were born. Well, not exactly. So this is what happened. Rudolph was there. He was like, "I'm going to be a big brother." Because he was obviously the youngest. So he wasn't going to be the baby of the house anymore. And then one came out. His foot came out. And then Mrs. Claus put this scarlet ribbon on it. But then the baby came back in. And then the other baby came back out. And then Mrs. Claus said, "Huh? How did you come out? I thought the other one was here." And then that baby came out first, and she named him Nylon. And then when the baby with the scarlet ribbon came out, his name was Determined. No, not Determined. Was Lucky. Lucky. Lucky was the girl. Nylon was the boy. So they each had a different name of the meaning. And then Rudolph's red nose. And then the next Christmas, Santa took him again. And then the red nose gleamed and shined, and Santa was like, "Oh, thank you, Rudolph. Without your red nose, I couldn't see it. I would crash down to my big fat tummy." But then he was as good as new. He was so happy when his red nose, it was like a nightlight to him when he went to sleep. He was very happy. But I will tell you the rest soon, because now he's a senior. But he doesn't have a story yet. He'll find it on his own very soon with his red nose. Look, he doesn't know if it will grow bigger with him or it will go smaller with him. Who knows? Maybe there's a cure, or maybe there isn't a cure to help him. Everyone has Rudolph. Rudolph is the most famous reindeer, and he still is. Even if it's not Christmas, people talk about him. People love Rudolph. But I'm not judging them if they hate him. I just like him. But I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Good night.